you.
Today, we're going to learn about 12 simple tips to overcome self-doubt. Now, let's begin. Number 1. Ask the opposite. Imagine you're getting ready for your first day at a new job. You're wearing your best suit. You spent weeks brainstorming notes and new ideas. You even memorized everyone's name in the office. But even after all that hard work, you can't stop thinking about how unprepared you feel. So, how do you make this frustrating self-doubt disappear? One easy technique is called asking the opposite. Now, in this case, you're feeling doubtful because you think you're unprepared. So that must mean you know what an unprepared person looks like, right? But let's flip that around, okay? What would someone who's over-prepared look like? For starters, they would probably look the part. They'd look like they belong there, just like you do. An over-prepared person would also do a bunch of work they didn't need to, just like you did. They might even make an effort to seamlessly blend into this new work environment. Are you seeing a trend here? When you compare yourself to someone who's over-prepared, you might realize you're doing exactly the same things. So, could you be unprepared? It seems simple, but this technique can really change your thinking. It silences your doubts, and it leaves you with a new perspective on yourself. So, when you're worried about something, just ask the opposite, because you might realize you're doing a lot better than you thought. Number 2. Listen differently. Criticism can be a difficult thing to get used to. When someone doesn't like you, it's easy to get down on yourself, to lose faith in your ability. But what if you're only paying attention to half of the story? Most people, when they hear feedback, listen for one thing and one thing only: negativity. They're terrified of failing, so they're listening carefully for any and all signs that they might have messed up. Every little mistake stands out, and it feels like a sword stabbing them through the heart. But what about all the good things? Sure, there may have been a few drops of negativity, but those few drops are swimming in an ocean of compliments. In other words, you're so focused on what you did wrong that you're forgetting about what you did right. Constructive criticism is helpful and important, but too much negativity can fuel your self-doubt. It can lead you down a destructive road, so don't forget to encourage yourself and listen when others do the same. Number 3. Trust yourself. What happens when you don't trust yourself? How do you solve problems or make hard decisions? The answer is, you don't. You rely on the people around you. Now, just imagine you're interviewing for 2 jobs, and you nail both interviews. Each company offers you a great position, so what do? If you trusted yourself, you'd weigh the options and carefully make the best decision that you can. But if you don't trust yourself, then it'll feel like there's no right answer. You'll keep going back and forth, worrying about whether or not you're going to mess things up. Instead of making up your mind, you'll fall back on a friend or a family member and ask them, "What should I do?" And you'll let them make that hard decision for you. My point here is, if you rely on reassurance from other people, you're only going to doubt yourself more. The only way to trust yourself is to put faith in yourself. You have to go out on a limb and make those choices on your own. They may not be right all the time, and some may lead you down the wrong path. But the important thing isn't being perfect, it's being confident in the decisions that you make. Number 4. Balance interpretations. Everyone interprets the world differently, but if you doubt yourself, those interpretations really take a toll on your confidence. Because without realizing it, you might see everything as negative. No matter what people say, you only hear criticisms and complaints. A stranger might be giving you an amazing compliment, but you still find ways to tear yourself down. Self-doubt skews the way you interact with the people in your life, so pay attention to your own biases and make sure you're not twisting anyone's words. Number 5. Remember your success. When you look back on your life, what stands out the most? Probably a lot of negative experiences. You remember all the times you got yelled at or when you embarrassed yourself at work. I know those moments loom large in your memory, but they're not as important as you think. In fact, those negative experiences are probably always few and far between. The problem is, you're forgetting about all the positives. Every time when you achieved, succeeded, or made progress, if you want to overcome self-doubt, then make sure you never forget your successes. Number 6. Contest your inner voice. Everyone's heard that little voice in their head. For some people, that voice tells you to take risks and seize the day, but for others, it's not always so encouraging. Your inner voice might tell you to run away or take the easy road. It might convince you that you aren't good enough for something. But that voice in your head isn't always right. In fact, it's usually wrong. That's why it's so important to contest your inner voice. Each time it tries to change you, just take a step back and ask yourself, is this really how I feel? Because most of the time, it's not. Most of the time, you'll realize that you're scared of something that you don't need to be scared of. So fight back against your inner voice. If it tells you something negative or makes you doubt yourself, there's only one thing to do: prove your inner voice wrong. Number 7. Practice resilience. Persistence is a rare skill. The vast majority of people give up after the first try. They turn tail and run as soon as the going gets tough. But if you push through your rough patches, you'll be stronger for it. Not only will you have the courage to face more of those roadblocks in the future, you'll have the self-confidence to earn your success. Number 8. Rock the boat. So many people play it safe and hide in the shadows. Why is that? Well, because they're afraid of disrupting their usual routine. You might be afraid of leaving your comfortable job, or maybe you don't think you're capable of anything more. Either way, you're playing it safe because you're scared of taking that risk. But risks are a critical part of being successful. If you want to accomplish your goals, you're going to have to bet on yourself, and you need to take a leap into the unknown. So don't be afraid to rock the boat. As terrifying as it is, those risks may unlock the lifestyle that you've always dreamt of. Number 9. Leaving nothing undone. Even the most productive people make this mistake. They're efficient all day long, but purposely leave one or two things undone. Oftentimes, it's a creative project or some big personal goal. They leave these things unfinished because they don't have enough confidence to try. If you want to overcome your self-doubt, then don't leave anything unfinished. Whenever you find yourself procrastinating on the same project, there's one thing that you know for sure. It's time to get started. Number 10. Raise your own bar. CEOs like Warren Buffett will read hundreds of pages every single day, and they'll still find time to run multi-billion-dollar companies. That's an amazing accomplishment, and you very well might reach that level someday. But not right this minute. Many people develop self-doubt because they raise the bar way too high. They expect themselves to match the most knowledgeable, productive people in the world. But it takes a lot of time and a lot of practice to reach that level of motivation and productivity. While it's healthy to learn from the tricks and habits of these successful people, you need to set your own standards. You should always focus on raising your own bar and not trying to match someone else's. Number 11. Confidence in increments. Self-confidence isn't something you develop in just a day. It's something you build one small step at a time. And more often than not, you never really notice it's happening. So many people expect this dramatic change in their personality when they become more productive. They want to wake up one morning and realize all their self-doubt has vanished into thin air. But that's not how it works. The only way to build confidence and overcome self-doubt is to achieve one small goal at a time. Number 12. Enough is enough. Pushing your limits is just as important as knowing when to stop. It's a difficult thing to say, enough is enough, but if you're struggling with self-doubt, it can change your entire mindset. Knowing your limits stops you from overworking yourself, and more importantly, gives you the courage to stand up for your achievements. You'll learn how to recognize when you tried your best and when it's time to take a break. You'd be surprised how few people can actually do this. Most people are too worried about being perfect. They just keep going and going until they've lost all confidence in themselves. They start to hate their own work and they're constantly worrying about what could go wrong. But if you can set limits and hold yourself to them, then you'll feel more comfortable with your work, more confident in the face of failure, and more secure when you finally find success. Hey, thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe because more incredible content is on the way.